Well, Razorback fans, you took care of business. You survived and advanced. You beat the Kansas Jayhawks, and now you are on to the round of 32. So let's talk about on today's Locked On Razorbacks podcast. And welcome into the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. I am your host, John Nabors. I am also the host of Inside Arkansas Live, which you can catch every weekday afternoon starting at noon on Inside Arkansas and InsideArkansas.com. Today's episode is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Head to 5hourenergy.com to find over 15 flavors to choose from. Need one now? Grab a 5 Hour Energy shot at your local grocery or convenience store. Stock up today and stay energized. Hope everybody's having a wonderful Friday, and hopefully you can understand that I am here in a local establishment here in Providence. So if it sounds a little bit different in the background, I apologize. But hey, listen, we got to do what we got to do as the Arkansas Razorbacks take care of business against the Kansas Jayhawks by a final score of 79-72. Never a doubt, right? Easy win, no problems. It went exactly like we all thought it would. But a win is a win is a win, and the Razorbacks just took care of business. Like, you love it. You love to see it. I know that I definitely love to see it. Razorback fans, you can be excited no matter what because, listen, to win an NCAA tournament game, as I mentioned before, is so dadgum hard. It is so difficult to do. And I have been very lucky and fortunate enough to see the Razorbacks win 9 of them in the past 5 years. So eat your heart out. But, again, you got work to do. We'll talk about, one of the things that they got to get ready for is in, St. John's. And which is going to be a lot of different storylines from that. We're also talking about a particular player in the MVP and why he deserves so much credit. But listen, Arkansas played a pretty good first half of basketball, a lot of back and forth. Arkansas gave up a lead. They got up as much as 11 points in this game with 17 minutes to go in this game. And it was really frustrating. I get it. It was one of those things to where you don't want it to happen. You get frustrated if it actually does happen. You get frustrated in the idea of that it happens often to this team. But you win. You weathered the storm. Kansas took a lead in this game. They got it by 3 points. They took a lead. And when they took the lead, they felt like, it really felt like it was all curtains. Or at least like, here we go again. This is what it's going to be. This is just what we're going to have to deal with. But they kept on fighting. They kept on weathering this storm. And they kept on making sure that, hey, if we're going to go out swinging. We're going to go out our way. And that's exactly what Arkansas did. Jonas Aidoo. I'm going to talk about him more in depth here in a little bit. But, dude, 22 points for my man Jonas Aidoo. 10 of 19 from the field. What can you say? Well, we'll have a lot to say once we get to the extra comments there and get to this extra the segment there. But you got 22 points out of him, 5 rebounds. He also had an assist, had 3 block shots, 3 steals in 39 minutes. He played more minutes than I take that back. He played the second most minutes behind DJ Wagner. DJ Wagner played every single second of this game. He played 40 minutes. But great performance out of him. Nelly Davis. All right, the Nelly Davis slander and the Nelly Davis idea that he is just not clutch, he's a turnover machine, whatever, definitely did not happen in this one. 18 points for him, 5 of 10 from the field, 4 of 9 from 3. 3 rebounds, had an assist there too, a block shot, and 2 steals. Plus his minus was 13, and he hit the clutch shot. The big 3, onions, double order, sauteed to be able to take care of business there in the second half and late in the game. Just hit a massive shot for that. And then you had, of course, not only his brilliance on defensively, but you also had a great game out of DJ Wagner, 5 of 12 from the field for him, 6 assists in this game. Only 2 turnovers, had 2 steals for him, had to play 40 minutes of this game. Like, he had to play 40 minutes of this game in order to feel good about it and in order to get the type of performance that you needed out of him. And he answered the call. He answered the call once again. Now, it's not to say that everyone played well. I also want to give a shout-out to Trevin Brazil. Double Brazil. 11 points, 12 rebounds for him, 2 block shots, a steal. They took care of business. And Brazil, you got to be excited, man. You just got to be happy for this team. You got to be happy for what they've overcome, what they've been able to do, and the fact that they kept using this mentality of, hey, they counted us out. They counted us out. They were trying to bury us and everything, and it's just not happening. We're not going to allow it to happen. The mentality of this team is strong. It's extremely strong. Now, there were some guys that obviously did not play as well, I'm sure, as what they would have liked to have played. Billy Richmond really struggled in this game. 0 of 5 from the field. Did hit 2 free throws, had 4 rebounds, had 2 turnovers. Just felt like he was out of sorts. Just felt like he was completely out of sorts there. And, of course, Boogie Fland was another player that everyone was excited to see him back. He had 6 points in this game, played 24 minutes, had 3 steals, though. So 3 steals out of him, no turnovers, had 3 assists. So it was good to see that type of player back and, for what he was able to do. Arkansas shot 43% from the field, only 25% from three-point land. Definitely don't want to see that. But the free throws also, like 17 of 20. Arkansas hit nearly all of their free throws. 2 of them missed by Trevin Brazil, and also 1 of them missed by Carter Knox. But the rest of it was incredible. It's just absolutely incredible of what they were able to do and locking it down. Because they all knew, I think we all knew, that Hunter Dickinson was going to be the guy. He was going to be the guy that you're going to have to watch and you're going to have to see how he played. He was a dominant guy in the first half. He had 11 points in the first half. He had a big old fat goose egg in the second half. And a lot of it had to do with Jonas Aidoo, which, again, I know we'll talk about more in depth here in just a second. But, again, frustrating at times, back and forth at times, but a win is a win is a win at the end of the day. I cannot tell you guys, I know I talked a lot about this before, but I cannot tell you guys enough about how extremely difficult it is to win in the NCAA tournament. Like, we all know, and you've heard me say it, you're probably frustrated by me saying this, but you just don't understand it. Like, we saw Missouri, who is a team that everyone felt like was better than Arkansas, a team that ended up being a 6 seed, had some big-time wins this year. Their season is over. They lost to Drake. That's done. Their season's done. They're going home. All right? We've seen other teams like Clemson. Clemson was a highly favored, I would say highly favored, but pretty favored against McNeese State. They were a 5 seed, 12 seed McNeese. McNeese with Will Wade, the dude's moving on. He's not even going to be the coach of that place next year. And they lost. Clemson had a phenomenal year, a great season, especially compared to their standards. And guess what? They're going home after that game. They're going home after one day right here in the NCAA tournament. But you know who's not? Your Arkansas Razorbacks. They're not going home. They're moving on. They have a chance now to really make some noise. And I know that we could sit here and talk about the frustrations. We could talk about some of the bad plays and the bad approaches and the bad everything. And I would get it, and I would understand it, and I'd agree with it for the most part. But I am just never going to apologize for a win in the NCAA tournament, folks. You've won 9 NCAA tournament games in the past 5 years. You have no idea how insane that is and how important that is. You got to be able to be thankful for it and cherish it so much, so much. And you know who, honestly, I'm the happiest for in this entire game is John frickin' Calipari. I never thought I'd say those words in my life, but here I am saying it. I'm happy for John Calipari because I was told by all of the fans over there in Kentucky Nation, I was told by all of them that, hey, have fun losing in the first round of the NCAA tournament. Have fun losing in the first round of the NCAA tournament. Yeah, well, you know what? I didn't have very much fun losing in the first round of the tournament. You know why? Because I didn't. We didn't. None of us lost in the first round of the tournament. They're advancing on. And I love how the argument's changing from a lot of them when I tweeted that out, of course. But a lot of them are changing their argument of saying, like, oh, well, just first weekend. Shut up. Shut up. And just understand that right now, Arkansas is playing great basketball. Right now, Arkansas is going to the round of 32. And right now, Arkansas is going to be a very sexy pick to be able to beat St. John's. I don't know if they will for sure or not. We'll talk about that. But the point is that this whole idea that you just lose in the first round, Cal is cooked, can't coach anymore, is malarkey. It's baloney. It's just a non-factor. And anybody that continues to say this and try to push this narrative that Cal can't coach anymore, they're just a hater. Like, that's all it is. Listen, I'm not trying to sit here and say that John Calipari is the same coach at the same level that he was 10 years ago. I don't know that. But the idea that the guy does not know how to coach high-level basketball is an absurd statement. And any national media person that says it, they're just saying it because they don't like Cal. Anybody that you hear from other places, they're either a Kentucky fan or they're just somebody who has a narrative and has some sort of vendetta against Cal because he didn't give them the media coverage, because he tried to, didn't like the way that they approach things. The dude can still coach. And if you need any other example of it, see what happened at the later part of this season for Arkansas, because it's always about, I've always brought this up, it's always about where you came from, where you're at, and where you're going. That's when it comes to a program, and that's where you know the health of it all. Where were you at earlier this year? You were a team that was down in the dumps and was one of the worst teams in the SEC. Everybody was counting you out, and I was even one of those that was really getting close to counting you out as far as being even close to an NCAA tournament team. I was one of those people. But guess what? You've overcome it, because where you're at right now is you are a team that is advancing into the NCAA tournament. You are a team that has gone to the round of 32 when so many other teams, and at the end of the day, there'll be 32 other teams that would gladly take your place in that, would gladly trade spots with you, but they're not going to do it. And also where you're going, you are going to still have great teams, great players, great aspects, great everything, because John Calipari is your head coach. Start enjoying it, start appreciating it, and block out the haters and anybody that brings up anything that's anti-Cal or anything like that. Just remember, it's not because they have a point. It's not because they're speaking in facts. It's because they hate the man. They have a narrative against him. I'm not saying he's the best coach in the country. I'm not saying he's the guy that's going to win a national championship at Arkansas. I'm hopeful for it. But the idea to act like this guy just forgot about how good of a coach he is, or forgot it's just the game has passed him by tremendously, is grade A baloney. It just doesn't exist. It's a non-factor. Don't buy it. Don't believe it. Your Razorbacks are moving on to the NCAA tournament, and I am flying high right now. I don't even care. I don't even care what anybody has to say. You can't touch me. You can't say nothing about it. Your Hogs, round of 32, going to be facing St. John's. Ain't it great? Doesn't it feel great? Feels great to me. But someone who's feeling really great right now is Jonas Aidoo. And we got to talk about him and that great performance here on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast, so stay with us. All right, Razorback fans, I am here to tell you about our friends over at Nissan. We're all about the stats because numbers don't lie. When it comes to the all-new Nissan Armada Pro 4X, the numbers are on an MVP level. With the ability to tow up to 8,500 pounds, it can quite literally carry the whole team, plus the gear, wherever you need to go. It's all powered by the twin-turbo V6 engine, delivering the strength and performance to handle highways, back roads, and everything in between. And with the room for up to 8 people, the Armada Pro 4X is built for big crews, big adventures, and even bigger memories. Whether you're exploring off-road trails or rolling up to the arena, the Armada Pro 4X brings power, versatility, and style wherever you go. Take your adventures to new heights in the all-new Nissan Armada Pro 4X. Learn more at nissanusa.com. We're also brought to you by our friends over at 5 Hour Energy. Daylight savings time snuck up on you all, right? Maybe you're still riding high off this Razorback victory and you're going to be up all night like I'm going to be. Well, how I'm going to bounce back is get that 5 Hour Energy because they have my back. The extra sunshine means more time for fun, and sometimes you need a little boost to power through. Whether you're staying up late like we are watching the NCAA tournament, squeezing in every round of golf after work, or just trying to keep up with your busy day, 5 Hour Energy gives you that quick, refreshing pick-me-up whenever you need it. I've been staying up late every night since I've been here in Providence. It's been tough. It's been awesome. But you know why I'm so wired and fired up? Not only because Arkansas won an NCAA tournament game, but it's because I have 5 Hour Energy, and it's on the go convenient where if I'm at a game, if I'm traveling, whatever it is, it's easy to grab and feel refreshed. I can just go to my local grocery store, convenience store, and I'm going to have it. So head over to 5hourenergy.com to find over 15 flavors to choose from, including watermelon, blue raspberry, and peach mango. You can even build your own 12-pack or 24-pack delivered right to your door. Need one now? Grab 5 Hour Energy Shot at your local grocery store or convenience store. They are everywhere. Stock up today and stay energized. All right, so let's move on to the next segment of the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. Let's talk about this guy, Jonas Aidoo. I mentioned his stats, which, are very impressive. Let's be honest. Dude goes out there for the Razorbacks and takes care of business with 22 points on 10 of 19 from the field. 10 of 19. He took 19 shots, the most shots of any player by far. And honestly, I want him to take more. He had 5 rebounds. He had an assist. He had 3 steals. He had 3 blocks. That's MVP. That's big time. That's nasty. And that really doesn't give him all the credit that he deserves in playing defense against a really good player in Hunter Dickinson. That just doesn't give him the credit that it's due. Jonas Aidoo, just like so many other players, this is what's made this team so much fun. What they've been able to do and getting to the points that they've been able to get to, whether it's the emergence and reemergence of Trevin Brazil, whether it's Boogie Flan coming back into the fold, whatever it is, You have a guy like a Jonas Aidoo that you're starting to see what everyone was hoping for. You're starting to see what some of these players, and he's a great example of it, what you expected to see out of him all season long. There's no doubt that Jonas Aidoo dealing with that injury was tough, and him trying to overcome it was tough. But I remember when it was announced that he was coming to Arkansas, I was like, oh, wow, you get this all-SEC defensive player from Tennessee, a team that advanced into the second weekend of the NCAA tournament, a physical power, a physical presence underneath. But I just never felt like you were getting that. I chalked it up to the injury, and I still feel like the injury played a major factor into it. But it was just like, geez, when is this guy going to overcome this? When is this guy going to deal with this? When is this guy going to figure this out? It just seemed like it was never going to happen. But then time came on, and he started developing. He started getting better. He started slowly but surely becoming the player that you were hoping for, that I was hoping for. And then in the biggest stage, in the biggest game, the most important game of the season, what does Jonas Aidoo do? He does this. He goes for 22 points. He was your offensive threat. He was your guy in this game. That's incredible of what he's done. And again, it's indicative of the coaching job that Cal's done, but also like knowing that there was talent. There always has been talent on this team. There's been guys that have been really good, really amazing at what they have been able to do. They just needed the time. They just needed the energy. They just needed to get healthy. And once they get into a groove and find their little set circumstances, this is it. This is what we're trying to see. This is what we've been waiting for. Now, is Aidoo going to go out against St. John's and go for 22 points again? I hope so. I hope he's able to do that. But if you are ever going to play your best basketball, not only as a team but as an individual, it's now. It's now. Now is the time to do it in the NCAA tournament, to do it at this point in time. Listen, we could sit back, we could talk about the regular season and how much that was sucky at times, losing some games and everything. But as I have said so many times, I'm going to be blue into the face, no one is going to care what you did in the regular season if you advance every single time in the NCAA tournament. If Arkansas beats St. John's to get to the Sweet 16 over in San Francisco, all of you are going to be excited about it. I'm going to be excited about it. And none of us are going to get so excited, but then at the last second be like, well, actually, remember that time that we lost to LSU? Remember that time that Jonas Adu was not any good? And remember that time? No one's going to do that. This is the time where you got to play your best basketball. And Arkansas's found a way. They have unlocked it. They have unlocked the key ingredient to being able to play their best basketball. So we'll see how far it takes them. But this has given me a whole new wave of confidence, knowing it's like, dude, I love what Jonas Aidoo is doing right now. I love what Trevor Brazil is doing right now. I love what Nelly Davis is doing right now. I love what DJ Wagner's doing right now. And if you can get Boogie Flan continuing to get back into it a little bit, man, like what's stopping this team from making a serious run? What's stopping this team from making it not only to the Sweet 16, but maybe even a little bit further? It's going to take some work. It's going to take some serious play from some of these guys. But I'll put it this way before we move on. Folks, we've had some feelings about this team so far this year, but where it stands right now, I have never felt more confident in this team and in these players than what I do right now. I have never felt this good about it. Maybe that's a bad feeling. Maybe that's going to come up to bite me sometime in career. But I don't care. Never have I ever felt this good about a situation for this basketball team than right now. And what better time, what better feeling to have and confidence than the NCAA frickin' tournament. I cannot wait to see what the rest of it holds. I'm excited. I'm pumped. I'm pumped up. I can't even breathe right. I'm sitting out here in Providence. I don't even know. I'm in some like Union Station bar or something like that. I don't even know. I'm having a great time. I know a lot of people here who made the trip. They're having a great time. So let's continue to make it a great time. We'll get into our final segment and talk about the St. John's matchup. How we feel about it. Well, let's get into it next here on Locked On Razorbacks podcast. So stay tuned. All right, so final segment here on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. Looking ahead a little bit to Arkansas and St. John's. Now, St. John's is a 2 seed. St. John's is a really good team. Rick Pitino is a coach that I love. I have always liked Rick Pitino. Even at Louisville and everything, I have liked him. He's a phenomenal coach. He has won everywhere he's been. Kentucky, Louisville, and now St. John's. And he's like in his early mid-70s, and the guy's still performing at a high level. Dude's still performing at a high clip. How do you not appreciate him? How do you not get excited about watching his team play and everything? But now it becomes a real thing where Arkansas, Calipari faces St. John's and Rick Pitino. The storylines are going to be there already. They're bitter rivals. They don't like each other. They do not like each other. It's very evident. But Cal was 8-2 against Rick Pitino. And I can understand, like, Pitino also had that weird video that he put out before the Arkansas-Kentucky game this year. He was like, don't boo John Calipari. Don't boo John Calipari. Which is kind of strange. It's kind of weird. But either way, you're talking about Hall of Fame coaches. Hall of Fame coaches. And a lot of their Hall of Fame success came from separate schools, but now they're at new schools. Now they got their other teams rolling. And we can talk about the coaching matchup and everything, and I know the talent, because here's the thing. St. John's is going to be favored in this game. St. John's is a team that I feel like Arkansas is going to have to play their A game to beat. They're really good. Luckily for Arkansas, they're not exactly the best offensive team, but they're really good at defense. They're really physical. Could cause some problems and everything. But I'm willing to roll the dice and see how it happens. But the main thing is that Arkansas is going to be coming out here flying high, feeling good. And St. John's, you know that there's going to be some pressure on them. There's going to be a lot of pressure on Rick Pitino. Rick Pitino is going to be looking at this game and saying, hey, listen, we got to play our A game. We got to be able to do all the things that we got to do. We got to appreciate everything that we got to go out there and do and take care of against a team like Arkansas. But I haven't had a best record against this guy. This is one that I really want because we've established ourselves. Like St. John's, they've been a good team, but this is the first year that they've been like a nationally relevant top 10 team, and they got themselves going. Both of them have documentaries on Vice, so maybe there's a little competition from that. But the point is that both of these coaches have had so much success in their careers, they don't have to prove anything to anybody. They're national championship winning coaches. But there are two coaches that have had a lot of experience against each other. Just like John Calipari and Bill Self, John Calipari and Rick Pitino have a true rivalry because they don't like each other. And so it's going to come down to simply, is Arkansas going to be able to build upon what they did this past game? Are you going to be able to have a Jonas Adu, Trevin Brazil type of performance that you had? Are they going to be able to turn it around quickly? Who's going to be on it? Because I'm going to be honest. I think pressure is always an important thing. Who the pressure is more is on. Who's going to be able to answer to that call to that pressure? And right now where I stand, the pressure to me is on St. John's. St. John's has been a good story. St. John's has been able to do things that have been great, and they're a 2 seed and everything. They've been winning some big games. All the pressure's on them. And if Rick Pitino does not beat John Calipari and the Razorbacks on Saturday, then we're just going to have to go ahead and admit that John Calipari owns Rick Pitino. And he just can't overcome it. It's the Cal effect. He just can't overcome that type of matchup and that type of game. But we'll see how it plays out. I'm hopeful. I feel good about it. I'm not saying Arkansas is for sure going to win, but I have definitely felt worse going into an NCAA tournament game, and I'll just leave it at that. But either way, appreciate each and every one of you listening in and watching into the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe to the podcast on iTunes or on Google Play. You can also get after me on Twitter at John Nabors Show for any questions, comments, concerns that you may have, and we'll keep it going from there. Same podcast time, same podcast channel tomorrow afternoon. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. We'll see you then.